The icy wind howled down the city streets, sending shivers through even the thickest coats. The Christmas lights that lined the buildings glimmered against a backdrop of freshly fallen snow. But for one family huddled together under a threadbare blanket, the warmth of the season felt painfully out of reach. Lisa, a mother of two, held her children close, trying to block out the cold. Her youngest, Mia, only 6 years old, rested her head on Lisa's lap, her tiny hands tucked into her sleeves for warmth. Beside her sat 10-year-old Ethan, who stared at the distant twinkle of holiday lights, his face etched with a longing he tried to hide. For weeks, Lisa had struggled to shield her kids from the harsh reality of their situation. Their small apartment had been lost months ago after her job was cut unexpectedly. Shelter beds were full, and the streets had become their unwelcome home. She'd done everything she could to make it bearable, but as Christmas Eve approached, Lisa couldn't help but feel like she'd failed her children. As the night wore on, the family's small corner of the city became quieter. Most people had retreated to their warm homes, their lives filled with holiday cheer. But in the distance, the hum of a black SUV pulled up to the curb, breaking the silence. The door opened and out stepped Roman Reigns, dressed casually but unmistakably commanding. He had spent the past week volunteering at local charities, wanting to give back in a meaningful way during the holidays. But this Christmas Eve, he decided to take matters into his own hands. Roman had always carried a soft spot for families in need. He'd been raised to value family above all else, and something about the stories he'd heard that week made him feel like he needed to do more. As he approached the family, Lisa stiffened. Her instincts, sharpened by weeks of survival, made her wary of anyone who might come too close. But Roman's voice was warm, disarming. "Hi there," he said gently, kneeling to their level. "I hope I'm not intruding, but I wanted to check if you're okay." Lisa hesitated, unsure of how to respond. "We're fine," she said, though the tremble in her voice betrayed her. Roman glanced at the children. Mia had woken up and was staring at him wide-eyed, while Ethan clung protectively to his mom. Roman's heart ached at the sight. "You don't have to be fine," he said softly. "Not tonight." He reached into his pocket and pulled out an envelope. "This is for you," he said, handing it to Lisa. She opened it cautiously, her breath catching as she saw what was inside. A stack of bills, more than she'd seen in months. "I can't accept this," Lisa stammered, tears welling up. "Yes, you can," Roman insisted. "You don't have to do this alone." Before Lisa could respond, Roman added, "But that's not all. I've got a room waiting for you at a nearby hotel. It's warm, safe, and has enough space for all of you. Tonight, you'll have a real Christmas Eve." Lisa's hands trembled as she clutched the envelope. Ethan's eyes lit up for the first time in weeks, and Mia clapped her hands in excitement. "But why?" Lisa finally managed to ask. Roman smiled, his voice tinged with emotion. "Because everyone deserves to feel seen, to feel cared for, especially on Christmas." As the family piled into the SUV, Roman took the front seat, glancing back at the kids. "I hope you two are ready," he said with a grin, "because tomorrow we're making Christmas special." Mia giggled, while Ethan smiled shyly. Lisa couldn't find the words to thank him, but the tears streaming down her face said enough. The hotel room was everything Lisa and her children hadn't dared to dream of in months. Soft beds with clean linens, a heater humming quietly in the corner, and even a small Christmas tree set up near the window. Lisa couldn't stop crying as Mia and Ethan explored the room, giggling over the little wrapped chocolates left on the pillows. Roman stayed long enough to make sure they were settled, promising to return the next morning. "Get some rest," he told Lisa, his tone gentle but firm. "Tomorrow's going to be a big day." Lisa tried to protest again, feeling overwhelmed by his kindness, but Roman waved her off. "You've done enough fighting," he said. "Let someone else take care of things for a while." That night, for the first time in months, Lisa slept soundly, knowing her children were safe. Enjoying the video? Don't forget to subscribe. It's completely free and helps us bring you more awesome content. The morning after, by 8 a.m. the next morning, Roman was back, carrying a tray of steaming hot coffees and a bag filled with pastries. Ethan opened the door, his face lighting up at the sight of him. "Good morning," Roman said, stepping in and setting the food on the table. Mia ran up to hug him, her small arms wrapping tightly around his leg. "Did you sleep well?" Roman asked Lisa, as she sat on the edge of the bed, still looking like she couldn't quite believe this was real.
"Yes,"
she said softly, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you." Roman smiled, but there was more in store. "All right, guys," he said, clapping his hands together. "Put on your shoes. We've got somewhere to be." Lisa gave him a puzzled look. "Where are we going?" Roman grinned. "You'll see." They piled into the SUV once again, Roman chatting easily with the kids as the driver took them across town. They finally pulled up in front of a large community center, where a banner outside read, "Christmas Day Celebration." Inside, the room was buzzing with activity. A giant Christmas tree stood in the corner, surrounded by piles of wrapped presents. Volunteers bustled around, setting up tables laden with food, and kids ran around laughing, their faces painted with holiday cheer. "What is this?" Lisa asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's for you," Roman said simply, "and for other families who could use some extra love this year." Lisa's jaw dropped as a woman approached with a warm smile and handed her a bag filled with brand new clothes for the kids. Ethan and Mia were whisked away to join other children at the tree, where they were handed presents that made their eyes sparkle with joy. Roman stayed by Lisa's side as she looked around in awe. "I couldn't have done this," she said, tears streaming down her face. "You don't have to do everything alone," Roman replied. "Sometimes, you just need someone to remind you that you're not forgotten." But Roman wasn't done yet. He'd made a few calls the night before, using his connections to secure more than just a temporary reprieve for the family. After the Christmas festivities had died down and the kids were happily playing with their new toys, Roman sat down with Lisa, sliding a folder across the table toward her. "What's this?" she asked, opening it cautiously. Inside were papers for a fully paid 6-month lease on a small apartment, along with a gift card to help furnish it. Lisa gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. "This can't be real," she whispered. "It is," Roman said, his expression serious. "You've been through enough. This is your chance to get back on your feet." Lisa broke down, sobbing openly as she thanked him over and over. Roman placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Just promise me one thing," he said. "Anything," Lisa replied through her tears. "When you're back on your feet," Roman said, "pay it forward. Help someone else who needs it." Lisa nodded, her heart full of gratitude. The day didn't end there. As Lisa and her children settled into their new home, Roman made sure they weren't forgotten. He kept in touch, checking in periodically to make sure they were doing well. Word of his act of kindness spread, and soon news outlets picked up the story. It went viral, with people from around the world praising Roman for using his platform to make a difference. But Roman, ever humble, brushed off the attention. "It's not about me," he said in an interview. "It's about remembering that everyone deserves compassion, especially during the holidays. If we all do a little, it adds up to something big." For Lisa and her children, Roman's kindness wasn't just a Christmas miracle. It was the start of a new chapter. And for everyone who heard the story, it was a reminder of the power of kindness and how even one act of generosity can change lives forever. Enjoying the video? Don't forget to subscribe. It's completely free and helps us bring you more awesome content.